Peace, everybody. Welcome to Capital Combat. The name says it all. I'm Hakeem Branch,
Rob Jarrell.
and today we are going to preview a lot of fights. This Saturday, October 15th, we have three boxing cards on. And thankfully for us boxing fans, they are all at different times of the day. So you can catch all three main events. Yay for us. So what we're going to be talking about today is going on over in the UK. We got Claressa Shields versus Savannah Marshall for the undisputed middleweight title. And then on the undercard of that fight, we have Michaela Mayer versus Alicia Baumgardner. I hope I said that right. But anyway, they're fighting for 130. Yeah, it's 130 or 135.
I think it's 135.
Okay. So they're fighting for a multitude of belts in that division. And then we have on Fox pay-per-view, we have Deontay Wilder returning from hiatus after his last loss against Tyson Fury against Robert Helenius. And on the undercard of that, we've got, keep me honest here, Rob, it's Anthony Durrell and Caleb Plant. There we go. And then all the way over in Australia, we've got Devin Haney defending his undisputed lightweight titles against George Kambosos in a rematch of their fight earlier this year, in which Haney earned his undisputed status. So we're going to start in that order that I mentioned. We're going to start with the UK card. Take it away, Rob.
Okay, so this fight was supposed to happen, about a few weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken?
About a month ago.
About a month ago, due to the death of the Queen, they decided to postpone it until today. Savannah Marshall is the challenger in this fight, if I'm not mistaken, or is this a unification?
It's a unification. She has one belt, and I think Shields has the other three.
Right. Okay, so yes, this is unification. Savannah Marshall out of the UK taking on Olympic gold medalist, current middleweight champion. I think she's got belts in how many weight classes?
She's won belts at 68, 60, and 54.
Right. So this is just another notch or another rung, however you want to say it, on her historic women's boxing run. And to be honest, this is going to be as long or as short or as entertaining as Claressa Shields wants to make it. She clearly, in this fight, has the speed advantage and she has the skills advantage. She's just an all-world fighter, Savannah Marshall. While she does have good skills, being the taller fighter, I think Claressa Shields about 5'6", 5'7", and I think Savannah Marshall might be around 5'10". She's 5'11". She's very tall. She has the reach advantage, but she really doesn't do as much with it against, or I don't think she's going to be able to do as much with that height and with the power she does have versus someone of the pedigree of Claressa Shields.
Yeah, and one of the big things about this fight is the loss that Marshall gave Shields during the amateurs, which was multiple years ago. I think it was like 2014, so close to 10 years ago. In one of the international boxing tournaments. That is the key sticking point for both of these ladies. And, they've gone on to accomplish a lot of things as pros. Marshall being a world champion, Shields being a two-time gold medalist and multi-division world champion. I think one of the first two division undisputed champions, male or female. You can count those on one hand, but so her accolades are heavy coming into this fight. I actually watched that. I watched the amateur fight that they had. It showed up on YouTube, and honestly, I don't see how Marshall won that fight, but judging is subjective. So the people who judged it and the people who counted thought that Marshall won.
Yeah, but we also know the pro style, or once you get into pros, is completely different than amateurs. And while I think Marshall does have really good power, I know she has had some pretty nice early round knockouts versus her opponents. I just don't see the like I said, I just don't see that being as much of a factor, especially against Shields. What you do in as an amateur, really, at times you do have to change up your style when you get to the pro level, because it's not simply about scoring points. It's really about punishment, landing those effective shots, not just just a blow on the white part of the glove in amateurs is a score. Well, if it's not doing anything on the pro ranks, it means nothing. And I just think Shields has progressed to a point where there isn't. I haven't seen one yet that can that has a realistic chance of beating her, but that's me. We could be surprised on Saturday.
Yeah, and that's why they fight the fights. Outside of a flash knockdown, I believe against Hannah Gabriels, we really haven't seen Shields in trouble. She barely gets hit. She's barely lost any rounds. She dominated Christina Hammer to win the undisputed championship at middleweight to begin with, and really she has been blowing the women that she's been in there with away. Same as Marshall. Marshall's been blowing her opponents away too. Like Rob said, she's got 10 knockouts in her 12 wins. So we really do have the two best middleweights right now, the two best female middleweights fighting each other to see who's the best. And that's what we want. So, that is the best way to, put it. But like Rob said, I don't really see, unless the emotions get the better of Shields and Marshall can walk her into something, or maybe get her to fight angry to where she's staying in there too long, and maybe admires her work after she lands a combination or something like that, and she catches her, hurts her, and finishes her in that way. I don't see Marshall being competitive as this fight goes on. So we're both picking Shields by decision here.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I know she's talked in this last week or so about a knockout. I really don't see that happening. Marshall hasn't really been hit herself, but Shields has landed like pretty flush on all of her opponents, and has really only put a couple of them in trouble. So I don't see her hurting Marshall either. She's not one to really set traps. She's just like so much faster, better footwork, better fundamentals than most of her opponents. So she just kind of beats them until the fight's over. So let's move on to the next card, which is the Fox Sports card. Like we said, the feature attraction of that one is Caleb Plant versus Anthony Durrell. Main event is Deontay Wilder versus Robert Helenius. Give us some background on Helenius, Rob.
So Robert Helenius, the Nordic Nightmare, has
love that name.
is a pretty. It's kind of hard to quantify, because he's a good boxer. He really is. But the thing about it, his opponents leave a bit too. He just leaves a lot more to desire. I think he had like a really bad loss against a nobody, or not really somebody.
And he was stopped by Johann Duhaupas.
Yeah, against Johann Duhaupas, who is just a body. He's just a big body. But then he had a legit loss, and understandably, to Dillian White, who is one of the better fighters in the heavyweight division. So that is totally understandable. His best wins to date have been against Gerald Washington and against Adam Kalinowski. He took his O, and he beat him twice in succession. So those are his best wins, I would pretty much say. And considering that he's fought a Gerald Washington, a Johann Duhaupas, I think he had a couple other fights where the guys were as tall as he was, being around 6'6", 6'7". He's got the experience, but we're talking about him taking on Deontay Wilder, who has probably been one of the top 3 heavyweights over the past 10 years, if we
Yeah.
want to be honest with ourselves. Let's say top 5, because we still had Vlad Klitschko as one of a fighter, and he may not be the best in the last in history, but Vlad is still one of those contemporary greats, especially
Yeah.
for him of the last 20 years. So he's been one of the better fighters with life-changing power. Not fight-changing power, life-changing power. I've seen him literally walk Dominic Brazil into a 1-2, and that was a wrap in the middle of the first round. We have seen him beat Bermain Stavern after one tough fight and just KO him in the span of a few rounds. So
I think
Deontay
that was a
Wilder,
first round knockout too.
yeah, well, one of them was. I think he fought him twice. But
Yeah, the
just keep
first
in mind,
one was a decision, and then the second one he knocked him out in the first round.
but just keep in mind, he has probably the most power of a heavyweight in the last 20 or so years,
Yeah,
maybe.
that's fair to say. That knockout of Artur Spilka was nasty. And the Sergey Lahovich one, ooh, that was vicious too.
They were actually scary because I didn't think Artur Spilka was going to get up.
Yeah, that one was scary. Like he shut him completely out off.
So with Deontay Wilder, for him, we know he has a power. He has a amazing life-changing power in his right hand. He has very underrated power in his left hand. He doesn't throw a pretty hook, but when he lands, that hook is nasty. I've seen him land it, and he usually can finish it with the right hand. But we've seen him have 2 consecutive losses to Fury, in which he was knocked out. Once was an excuse. I think that was the 7th round where he said the ring suit he was wearing was too heavy. It burnt his legs out. Okay. Um, and then the second one where he was probably in the best shape that I've seen him in, and he really did hurt Fury at times in that fight. But considering that he was fighting such a huge guy with great skills who just had a dad bod, let's be honest. I mean, that could take a lot out of you. And he changed trainers. He went from what was his old trainer's name?
Mark Breland.
Mark Breland. And now he's with someone that I feel he trusts, a friend and a former opponent in Malik Scott. And you could tell there was a big difference because for those Fury fights, he actually came in the heaviest of his career at around 230-ish pounds, give or take. This fight at the weigh-in, he was back down to his normal fighting weight coming up at 214 pounds. Now, granted, I don't know how big of a deal that's going to be because, you know, when you have wild swings in muscle, the amount of muscle that you carry, see Anthony Joshua, see Roy Jones Jr. coming down from heavyweight, that could be a good thing by allowing you to be faster, go longer in fights, but it does sap away your power. It does sap away your stamina and your endurance, and it could take away or sap your punch resistance. I think that was one of the problems with Roy Jones. A lot of people said he should not have fought at 175 so soon after going up to 201 pounds or whatever the minimum was for the heavyweight limit. He would have needed to either stop at cruiserweight and work his way down or take enough time for his body to adjust. Granted, Deontay Wilder has been off for a while. He's been working with Malik Scott for a while. And
it's been about a year.
About a year. But still, it will be interesting to see what Malik Scott can add to him. And what could he have added to Deontay Wilder's arsenal that he did not get or refused to get with Mark Breland? Because that mental aspect, I think, is going to be the biggest challenge, the biggest hurdle for Deontay Wilder to overcome, especially with the gains made in the heavyweight division that we haven't seen for some time.
Okay. Yeah, and one of the things, like you said, like that weight loss, I think him being off for like a whole year is probably good for him. Like, I don't think he took that weight off immediately. It probably came off as, he started training and actually getting into shape for the fight. So I think that he'll be good in that aspect. Like, it isn't like a Roy Jones situation where he went up and went back down in the same year. Like, he trained to become a heavyweight and then he took all that off and became a light heavyweight in the very next fight. Like, this is, there's a span of time between that where, he could have done it healthily. We don't know yet until he gets in the ring. Now, one thing I was looking up while you were talking. Helenius was actually knocked out by Gerald Washington. So he was knocked out by Washington and he was knocked out by Duhaupas. He lost to Dillian White by decision.
Okay.
And
he lost to Washington? I thought he beat Washington.
Yeah, he lost by 8th round knockout.
Okay.
So as skill, because when I first saw Helenius, like, I think he was like a prospect, and they were showing him on some cards before the Duhaupas knockout. I was really impressed with him, and even the fights after that, I still think he's a really good fighter. Like, he's technically sound.
Mm-hmm.
He's got power himself,
right?
And though he got knocked out, you don't it's not an easy thing to do, except if you're Deontay Wilder. Like,
right,
he hits guys and they go to la la land, no matter what kind of chin you got. The only guy to really withstand his power was Tyson Fury. Not really like the only guy. He is the only guy,
and he had to get up off the canvas for that. So
multiple times at that. So he got knocked down twice in the first fight and twice in the second fight, right?
Right.
So he's been knocked down 4 times by Deontay Wilder. Like, that's nothing to sneeze at right there. Like, I know a lot of Americans like to, downplay Fury, and then others are trying to downplay Wilder, but you got to respect both of them. But this is not about Tyson Fury right now. This is about Deontay Wilder. You got to respect him as well.
And see, I think that's why I'm looking to see what his confidence is going to look like, what is being added to his arsenal, because this is a difficult enough fight that it should be able to push him at least into the mid rounds before he starts swinging for the fences, because we know he gets outside of himself at times, swinging wildly. He really he gets so pumped up that his all form goes out the window. But when he can keep a tight 1-2 or double up the jab and bring the right over the top, it's a different story. Like I said, when he knocked out Brazil, it was a textbook, beautiful, flash the jab, blind him, come down the pipe with a 2. And I'm talking about, it was real tight, not a lot of wasted movement, get downhill, put him out.
Yeah. And that'll be good to see if Scott can instill that in him to have that discipline through that time. So that's what we're watching for. And we do think, with the power that he has and with the opposition that he has, we do think he'll pull it out. The question is when.
Correct. I really, as much as I like Helenius, I would be surprised if it goes past 7 rounds. Like you said, he has really good skills. He's not particularly fast, and he doesn't have particularly fast feet, but he really does have pretty decent balance. I think depending on how he holds his hands, going down the middle won't be too hard. Adam Kalnowski did a really good job of just overwhelming Helenius at times, but Helenius could weather that storm, having a pretty good chin, and he kind of gets you looking at his hands. Like, don't it sounds weird to say don't look at his hands, but it's not to look at his hands. It's a move where when he hurt Adam Kalnowski, I think in the first fight, he threw a jab while holding his right hand up, but he kept his left hand out here. He had Kalnowski looking for the left hook, and just stepped in with the right, and he was on Queer Street, and from there it just went downhill. He had him looking like a giant baby trying not to fall down. So it really is underrated skills like that Helenius possesses outside of that power. But when Deontay Wilder does get hit, how does he respond? When he sees that he has the knockout going, does he lose patience and start swinging away, trying to get back to that I can knock any and everyone back mentality? Or is it kind of like, I'm going to be patient and I'm going to let the knockout come to me? I can work on a few things. I know that I can knock this guy out. I know I'm better than him, more athletic, so forth, so on to this guy. So let me try a few things that we practice in camp and overtime. And like I said, Malik Scott has kind of a different job. But again, they were friends. They fought each other. They know each other very well. And maybe Malik Scott may have been able to reach him, unlike Mark Breland did. So,
yeah. And we'll find out on Saturday. So now let's move on to the final fight of the night, which is Haney versus Kambosos. And in the first fight, Haney completely undressed Kambosos. That it was a clinic of jabs, movement, feints, grabbing him when he needed to, making the fight ugly when he needed to, and Kambosos had no answers whatsoever for what Haney brought to the table. The real question that everyone's asking is, do we see anything different on Saturday? What do you think?
I don't think we get too much that's different. I think because Kambosos is a very linear fighter, forward, back, nothing else. He's not that rough Australian fighter, was his Horn,
Jeff Horn?
Yeah, Jeff Horn. He pretty much roughs you up, and that's what it is. That is not Kambosos. He's a linear fighter. He likes to get downhill. He likes to throw that short right, and he wants to be able to measure you with the jab. The thing about it is, Haney is faster, more athletic, better footwork, and better reflexes. What Kambosos could have done in the first fight is move laterally. He landed a left hook by countering a left hook a lead left hook that Haney did. All he had to do was take a half step to his left, pop the left hand, and he hurt him. Another thing is, what Haney likes to do is when he jabs or he tries to lead with maybe the right hand, he likes to dip to his left, bump him with the shoulder, get under Kambosos' lead arm, tie him up. That way it takes away a lot of angles for Kambosos to land, maybe on the outside of the body, back in the liver, the kidney area, but he didn't really do that enough to deter Haney from stepping in and out jabbing him. He really does need to take that short step to the left and either throw a short hook or throw a short uppercut when Haney decides that he wants to duck down to his right. The question I have is Haney going to knock Kambosos out? Because apparently the report is they're working on Haney's power to really hurt Kambosos this time around. And I think they're going to hopefully won't be pressing for the knockout, but maybe walk him or feint him into a punch. I'm looking at the 3-2 combination to knock Kambosos out.
Okay, that's something to watch for. I, for one, I did see him. He kind of buzzed him a couple times in that first fight. Nothing like serious to where he was in danger of going down, but I think he got his attention a couple times. So if they are working on him sitting down on a few punches, maybe he could get like a knockdown or something like that. Kambosos does have a really good chin. He took some really good shots from Lopez, albeit now we know that Lopez was actually knocking on death's door in that fight. However, Kambosos still did what he had to do, and Teofimo didn't make it easy for him. So I don't think that Haney, it would be a really pleasant surprise if he does. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, it really would be. I'm just so worried about fighters like Haney and Shakur Stevenson, who clearly have all the advantages in the fight except the power to put guys away. That always leaves their opponents in the fight. And
Yeah.
you kind of want to see him start taking these guys out. Like, what's my man at welterweight?
Boots.
Yeah, Boots Ennis. Jaron Ennis, he has all the advantages, and he's like, screw it. I want an early night. If I'm getting you out of here by the 6th round. And that's pretty much what it has been.
All right, so we are running out of time here on our recording, but we really have said everything we need to say. So thank you all for watching. Make sure you like this video, share with your friends, drop your thoughts below. If you have your thoughts on the multiple fights we covered today, but also hit us up on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Capital Combat, and we will try to get you guys a recap between Sunday and Wednesday. So until then, guys, fight on.
This is round 1 and you've already lost. They don't seem to see that everything we've done is coming and cost. My fist